Welcome back to the Key Stage 2 Science Challenge, week beginning Monday the 11th of January 2021. My name is Ms Dyer and I've been talking you through the Science Challenge for this week. Now, if you haven't already planned and completed your experiment, then you will need to go back to the first video in order to do that. If you have planned and completed your experiment, but you haven't finished your scientific report, please do that before this final video. Okay, a reminder then, we are working scientifically to answer the following question. Which material is the best insulator of ice? So in other words, which material is going to slow down the melting of ice? And you'll remember, children, that we have been using our Explorer's Gateway this week, and we've been seeking challenges, showing determination and perseverance to be the best version of ourselves. And we've been using reflections to make an informed decision when faced with a challenge. So, we have completed the plan section of our cycle. We have completed the do section of our cycle, and we are on the final part of the review section. And today I have two questions for you to think about. Was your experiment a fair test? How reliable are your results? Now, what is a fair test? I suggest you start today by researching the meaning of a fair test. When you know what a fair test is, you'll be able to decide if your experiment was a fair test. And you'll be able to decide if your results are reliable. Now, you may do your research and you may decide that your results were a 2 out of 10, meaning they were not very reliable. Or you may decide that your results were an 8 out of 10, meaning they were pretty reliable. But children, there are always room for improvement. So what would you change next time to ensure that your experiment is a fair test? Now I'm going to ask you just to write one short sentence to explain, firstly, what you score yourself out of 10. So if you are scoring yourself a 2 out of 10, you might say, I would change because. If you're scoring yourself an 8 out of 10, again, you might say, next time I will change because. Now, if you're thinking very scientifically, you may decide from your research to add the word variable into your sentence. Next time, the only variable I would have is. Okay, so children, that's the first part of today's review. You may decide you want to pause the video now and complete the first part and then come back to the second part. Or you might decide you want to listen to the second part now and complete it in one go. So the second part of our review today is our review of our gateway. So I'd like you to think, how have you shown determination and perseverance? Was it really tricky wrapping your ice in a material? Perhaps you had to be really determined when drawing your results table to ensure your lines were straight. Did you go back and look at your sentence and perhaps do some editing and correcting to ensure that it was your very best work? Did somebody have to take a lead in your group this week and inspire others to do their best? So, I'd like you to have a think now. How have you shown determination and perseverance? Have you really followed your passions and sought challenge this week? How would you rate yourself out of 10? 1 being, I've not shown much determination at all. Or 10, I've really done my absolute best this week. Now, you may decide that you're about a 7, and that's okay. We're not all going to be, and certainly hardly any of us are going to be a 10 out of 10. And as part of our review, we're going to think, how can I move from a 7 to an 8? I'm not asking you to go from 7 to 10, just a small step, a small jump. What would you do differently then to improve your score? What would you do differently? Now, perhaps you know that you didn't check your sentences for full stops and capital letters. And next time, you're going to show real determination and perseverance by doing that. Perhaps you rushed your experiment a little bit and sought to get to the end quickly. Perhaps you might need to slow down next time. Perhaps you did some research about a fair test, and you have something that you do differently next time to ensure that your results are reliable. Now, you can decide to share your review section in any way you like today, children. You might decide to write a sentence and to send it to your teacher on Class Dojo. You might decide that you're going to video yourselves talking about the determination you've shown, or about what you would do differently next time. You might decide to draw a picture, including the scale, and maybe a comic strip of you talking to a grown-up or a friend about your experiment. You can be as creative as you like today, children. Now, I know the grown-ups at school are really looking forward to seeing the review section of your learning. We're really looking forward to hear about your fair test and what you would do differently. And we're also really looking forward to hearing about how you got on with this term's gateway. Okay, thank you for joining me this week. I really hope you have enjoyed your science challenge. Have a lovely weekend, everybody.